So everybody knows this is unsustainable. And so I want to ask the question again. Mr. Call Screener, let us do something very radical. Normally we leave one line open for the irregular Americans, that is the libs. Let's leave two lines open. So my question to you Obama supporters, drones, irregular Americans, you know who you are, is simple. What is your proposal now that the Republicans have put theirs out for cutting spending? Oh, by the way, you may mention the military, but the military is not the biggest part of the budget. It's much smaller than domestic spending. Domestic spending is like 4 times more than military spending. But let's say we cut the military, which I would oppose, because, you know, there are little constitutional things where only the federal government can do it and the states can't, like defend us. But even if we were to cut defense by 10 or 20%, that's not enough. So where do you liberals want to cut in domestic spending? It's your turn. Your turn. There's a proposal by the other side on the table. What's your proposal? Or do you want to just massively increase taxes on people who earn under $250,000? Is that the new game plan? According to Peter Arzog, it has to be. Because there's no other way to get the money. Vernon, Melbourne, Florida, the great XM satellite Democrat. Go, sir.
Well, I'm actually independent. I just have one question for you, sir.
Well, can I slow you down there? Mr. Call Screener, do these people change their affiliation when they... Sir, you said you were a Democrat. Why do you do that? I'm just curious.
Well, we're starting out... okay.
All right, go ahead and make your point, sir. But, I mean, you know, you don't need to lie to get on the program.
And you be whatever you are. My question to you is...
Brilliant.
With the... What is your position on the tax breaks that was just given to the wealthy, that was extended for 2 years for the wealthy and the middle class or whatever? You
know what, sir? Let me tell you something. Not being a Marxist like you apparently are, I don't sit around looking at a neighbor and say, what are the taxes for that guy? I see an economy that is on the brink because of spending. But I'm going to tell you something, sir. I'm considered wealthy in this country. I deduct interest on my mortgage up to a certain amount because that's all I'm allowed. I'm not allowed to deduct anything for my kids because of what I earn. I deduct my property taxes and my charitable contributions. That's it. Do you get those deductions too?
I never.
What? In other words, what loopholes are you talking about?
Your question, you.
Pal, you're ignorant. I'm trying to get to the bottom of this because you're giving me your talking points, and you lib talking points are getting on my nerves. I just told you I get interest deduction on my mortgage. I can't deduct the kids like you can. I can deduct my property taxes and my charitable contributions. So what loopholes are you talking about?
Okay, I never said anything about loopholes, and I never said anything about.
I pay almost over 40% of my income to the federal government, sir.
That's what
you don't break your ass to make one penny that I make, and yet you sit there and you get to tell me how much I get to keep? Yes, you're a Marxist. Jack, Hackensack, New Jersey, WABC, a Democrat. What would you cut in the federal budget?
I kind of liked what that guy was saying until you cut him off and insulted him.
Well, you sound like a jackass, too. I just asked you, what would you cut in the federal budget?
I'm a Democrat and you're a demagogue.
All right, get out of here. All right. They don't have a single idea what they would cut in the federal budget. None. You Republicans who listen to this program on Capitol Hill, listen to this. This is important. You need to challenge the other side to present a proposal on what federal domestic spending should be eliminated or cut. You're going to get the same response that I do. They have no answer. They have no proposal. Now, you had the guts to put a plan out on the table today. $2.5 trillion. You're going to be picked to pieces by all these libs, their infrastructure, their constituent groups who suckle off the you-know-what of the federal government. Now dare them to come up with their own cuts. They can't. We'll be right back. By the way, let me make this challenge to you all in the media, too, because you and the Democrats, you're one and the same thing. What would you in the media cut? Charles, Dallas, Texas, the great WBAP. Go.
Yeah, Mark, I would tell you that we would cut defense because it's defense that's got us into this.
Hey, let's put defense aside. I know you want to cut defense, and I know you want to raise taxes. What domestic programs would you cut, sir?
I wouldn't cut any of them. I would only cut defense because.
All right. Thank you for your call. There you go. There's not a single federal program, domestic program, that Democrat would cut, despite massive increases in spending on them over the last 2 years. Not one. Let's try another, shall we? Miles, St. Louis, Missouri, the great KFT country. Go.
Yeah, I'd like to get rid of the Federal Reserve.
KFTK, I meant. Go ahead.
No, not that they're on a federal budget, primarily private, but I get rid of the Federal Reserve. I am kind of surprised that both Democrats or conservatives.
All right, sir, I asked you what domestic programs would you cut?
Get rid of the Federal Reserve.
What else would you cut?
Well, I think after that, once people went back to gold and silver standard.
All right, what else would you cut, sir? Going, gone.
Okay, probably just about everything. As a libertarian,
all right, then you're not a Democrat. You're a libertarian.
Yeah, I thought that when the guy asked me what my affiliation was, I said libertarian.
You did?
So I would probably start abolishing just to get off Social Security. Maybe do like you do with an aircraft here. I guess once you bought it, you got to pay for it. All right,
thank you for your call. I didn't ask for libertarians. I have a different issue with libertarians. I asked for Democrats. Liberal Democrats, of the Obama kind. Christopher, Fresno, California, the great KMJ-FM. Go, Democrat.
Hello, Mark.
Hello.
Good to finally get to meet you, to talk to you.
Yes, sir.
If I had to start somewhere, the first thing I would
First of all, are you in fact a Democrat, sir?
Yes, sir. No, a very liberal Democrat.
Can you prove that, sir?
Voted a straight liberal ticket last
can you prove that, sir? Yes or no?
Yeah. If you saw my ballot last year, straight liberal ticket all the way through.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, do you have a copy of your ballot?
Oh, geez, I guess they don't let you keep those, do they?
So I have to take your word for it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
All right, you're a Democrat. What domestic program or spending would you cut, sir?
The first thing where I would start would be Medicare Part D. When we passed it, we didn't bother having any way to fund it. So, in my opinion, we didn't have no business passing that bill to begin with.
So you would cut the Bush prescription plan then, right?
Correct.
All right. What else would you cut?
What else? Oh, geez. That was just the first thing that came to my mind. But
you said you're a liberal Democrat, correct?
Yes, sir.
Would you cut all the increases that Obama put in place?
You mean the massive bill that we just passed, like the stimulus package, that stuff?
Yeah.
Well, my understanding is that stuff's supposed to expire. No.
Well, it is, but we have to roll back we have to roll back the increases for the future years. You see, because what they use is that stimulus as a new baseline.
Anything that was added on.
Sir, you're not hearing a word I'm saying because you're rambling on and on and on. You asked me a question. The stimulus serves as a new baseline for the budget. It has to be rolled back, that amount of money. Would you support that, yes or no?
Yes, I would.
All right, you're not a liberal Democrat who voted for Obama. Now get out of here. I'm trying to make a point. Will you libertarians and conservatives stop calling in and pretending to be Democrats? I want a liberal Democrat to call me and tell me what you would cut on the domestic side. Steve, Long Island, a Democrat. Go.
Listen, Mark, you got it wrong, and let me tell you why.
Are you a Democrat?
I'm a Democrat, and here's the scoop. It's not the programs that have to be cut. It's the waste within the programs that got to be cut.
No, it's not, sir. Let me explain something to you. Let me explain something to you. Milton Friedman used to say, you cannot make a cat bark. Do you understand the point of that comment?
I disagree. I do understand the point.
Really? Well, tell me when we have made government efficient and not abusive and not wasteful. Can you point to any level of government where that's ever occurred? No, you can't.
You want to live in the rearview mirror, Mark. You can do.
No, I want to live in the real world. You want to play games. Oh, no, Mark. It's just we have to cut waste and fraud and abuse. No, the government is waste, fraud, and abuse. So you don't have any ideas for cutting any particular programs.
I do have ideas. You just
well, what are they? Tell me.
My ideas is accountability and corruption and waste in both
thanks for
parties.
your call. Another non-answer. But isn't this interesting, ladies and gentlemen? I haven't had a single real liberal Democrat call with a single proposal for cutting any of these spread the wealth programs. Their own former OMB director says this is unsustainable. Their own deficit commission says this is unsustainable. Even their friends, the Red Chinese, they say this is unsustainable. We can't get a single Democrat liberal caller to tell us to cut one damn program when it comes to domestic redistribution of wealth. This is what we're up against. Oh, what do you guys want to cut? Here it is, $2.5 trillion over 10 years. What do you want to cut? We want to make things more efficient. Screw the rich. So why would we hand the reins of government over to these people? Why? The American people want the government under control. They want the spending to slow down. They want some of these programs eliminated. And I have 8.5 million listeners. We don't have a single Democrat calling in here telling us to cut a single domestic redistribution of wealth program. Not one. Jeff, San Francisco, the great KSFO, a Democrat. What domestic spending would you cut, sir?
I'd cut farm subsidies 100%. I'd cut defense 30%. I would cut oil depletion allowances 100%. That ought to get us for around.
All right, slow down. Oil depletion allowance, sir, we're not going to play this tax game. I like your idea on these farm subsidies because you're right. Because that cost us, that is a program that actually costs us money.
Yeah, about $40 billion.
What else?
I'd cut defense 30%.
I said, okay. Sir, the question was, what domestic? Is defense domestic?
Much of it is, absolutely.
In your world, much of it is. Okay. I'm trying to use plain language, and apparently it's not working. All right, let me try it this way. Non-defense. What else?
Okay, I would definitely cut corporate subsidies.
How about subsidies to colleges and universities? Would you cut those?
No.
How about food stamps? Would you cut that? How about any welfare program? Would you cut any of those, or those are all perfect?
No, there's cuts of.
How about any entitlement program? Well, what would you cut? I mean, you've had time to think about it. What would you cut?
What entitlement? Why would I cut any entitlements?
Exactly. So none of the redistribution of wealth, welfare state programs. You wouldn't cut any of those, right?
Redistribution of wealth is good, not bad. That's on that.
There you go. Thank you for your call. You're perfect. Perfect. Okay, let's keep moving, shall we? Paul in New Jersey, a Democrat, the great WABC. Go.
Yeah, listen, Mark. I definitely will cut the welfare program. Food stamps, I'll give it only for maybe 3 weeks, and that's it. I'll cut also, definitely cut the unemployment benefits. I will reduce unemployment benefit to maybe 6 months. And I will advise every government official to take a pay cut for at least 1%.
Now, how do I know you're a Democrat, sir?
Because I'm a Democrat, Mark.
So why are you a Democrat? More than a Democrat, why are you a liberal?
Well, I guess it's just some of the values and morals, social and all that.
Well, liberals don't have any values of morals, social and all that.
Why would you say that, Mark?
Just to annoy you. Thank you for your call. I thought it was we social conservatives who were the extremists. See, the liberals want it both ways. We have morals and values too. Okay, I don't dispute that. But how come when we express our morals and values, there's something extreme about us. There was a Democrat who actually had some ideas, by the way. Limit food stamps, limit unemployment. Okay, there's one. It's still not enough. It's not enough. We're going to keep moving fast and picking you Democrats up. Jeff, San Diego, KFMB country, a Democrat, go.
The problem is, Mark, is that we don't have enough entitlements. We should raise taxes. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm. What other entitlements would you like, sir?
I would like the healthcare system to be completely free, which maybe we're heading in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to have free housing and free food.
All right, get out of here, you fool. He's one of us. Steve, Laredo, Texas, Sirius Satellite, an independent. Go.
Hey, yeah, my name's Steve, and Mark, I think we need to cut out all foreign aid everywhere. Anybody?
What about domestic spending?
Foreign? No, I said, domestic only.
Well, I mean, it's easy to cut foreign. I'm saying domestic that have these political constituencies. What would you cut? Think about it and call back. Yes, think about it and call back. Edward, Dallas, Texas, the great WBAP, a Democrat. Go.
Yes, Mark, I will make it real simple. I would cut every domestic program except for Medicare and Social Security, and wow, that will save us a big 5% off the federal budget. How's that?
Well, that's not enough, is it?
That's not enough, and that's the whole point the liberals have been trying to make. Everything else is chump change. The budget is consisted of.
Well, now,
Medicare.
wait a minute. Aren't you a liberal?
Yeah.
So
Everything
you
else
won't. So what would you do with Medicare and Social Security then?
You can't do anything with it.
So we're doomed.
That's your budget.
No,
Medicare,
it's not. As a matter of fact, if you, sir, let me slow you down. Obviously, we have to address the entitlements too. There's absolutely no question about that. But do you support Obamacare?
Yes.
Well, then you don't make any sense.
Well, you just made my point when you said that you don't believe.
I didn't make any point. I asked you if you support Obamacare, and you said yes. You just made the point that unless we address Medicare and Social Security, we're only talking about 5%. I said, you support Obamacare, and you said yes. Yeah. So you favor bankrupting your nation.
No, because I said the point you just made with the CBO said Obamacare would save.
Forget about the CBO. We know this is what I mean about the immorality of the argument of the left. Sir, you know that the CBO can only respond to whatever it's asked. And so you take what Nancy Pelosi asked the CBO to cook the numbers, and now you're regurgitating it. I'm not interested in your regurgitation. Nobody is.
Okay, what about
now, I'll ask you this. Do you support the $2.5 trillion in cuts that the Republicans are proposing, since you say it's so minuscule?
It'll never pass.
Got you there, didn't I, Edward? All right. Thank you for your call. Steve, Mesquite, Texas, the great WBAP. Go.
I think you need to cut Medicare expenditures.
Yeah.
I share the same feeling that a lot of conservatives do, that we have to be personally responsible for our choices in life.
Right.
And I think that if you spend a lifetime abusing your body, you're probably going to have to pay for it somewhere down the road. Everybody else shouldn't have to.
Well, everybody on Medicare hasn't spent a lifetime abusing their body.
I'll agree with
so
you
what?
there.
What does one have to do with the other?
Well, my personal opinion, and it's just my opinion, is that at some point we have to decide. I know you don't like it, but at some point we have to decide that rationing is the only way to go, because there's just not enough money in the world.
Let me explain something. Rationing, you say. You know, I've made the point. Redistribution occurs in the private sector through competition, through choices, through opportunities, through success and failure. That's where it belongs, not some handful of bureaucrats deciding who lives and who dies. A government that powerful is way too powerful. Now, if you say there need to be cuts in Medicare, I don't disagree with you. But again, like with Social Security, the way you do it is the way that's moral. People who are on Medicare today, who have been told time and again by their own government, by these politicians and bureaucrats and advertisements on TV today, that you're going to get X for paying Y. You cannot cut people off in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. They have no alternatives. So while they may like to make decisions for themselves, they've already spent a lifetime working and following the rules and following the law and have been screwed by the politicians. What I am arguing for is saving future generations. So the generations currently on these programs need to be able to rely on them. But there is no reason why a 25-year-old who may wish to make a different decision and for whom these programs simply will not be in existence to continue to be sucked into them. You get my point?
Well, I'm 57, okay?
I'm 53. Congrats.
I'm 57, and I'm looking down the road, and I'd be willing to agree to what I've just suggested.
All right, but that's you, sir. We don't make policy based on only what Steve says.
And once we hit that dollar value, we're out of luck. We don't have to suffer, but we have to go over the side at some point. Just like the soldier over in Afghanistan, you throw yourself on a grenade, save your buddies.
And you think the vast majority of people are prepared to do that who are 57?
I think that
I think not.
People who are Christian out there have to say and ask themselves, at what point is it better to lay down your life for a friend?
All right. Thank you for your call. Candace, Dallas, Texas, the great WBAP, a Democrat. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I would like to say that the programs that are for the aid to families with dependent children, those people that are perfectly capable of working, the young men and women that are on that program, would probably make a huge dent. I don't know if it makes
I don't know if it makes a huge dent or not, but I think you're right.
And I do agree with you about the elderly and not cutting out their programs because that just wouldn't be right. But for all those kids, they need to get a job.
Well, I didn't really put it that way. What I said is those programs do in fact need to be altered. But I can't see throwing 80-year-old, 75, 83-year-old people out of these programs when in fact they have contributed to these programs for a very long time. And whether they're getting more back than they contributed is not the point. They were told that this was insurance, and the money was, in fact, let me use an Obama word, hijacked from these programs and used for other things. So there's a lot of immorality going on there from the liberals. And I don't think we punish people who were sucked into these things, or not even sucked, forced to fund these things. And now that they're getting benefits out of them that they were promised, we're going to cut them off. What we need to do is look down the road to the future generations. As I said, thank you for your call, Candace. People in their 20s and 30s and 40s who, in fact, would prefer to invest in other ways, who would prefer different types of programs, because these programs aren't going to be around for them anyway. And we could, in fact, have the political support of these very generations to allow them to do other things with their money. And I don't know why that's such a big deal. I understand it for the left, because it's all about control. It's all about big government. But there's no reason seniors couldn't support that, too, because they would be largely unaffected. But, you know, we've got to look out for the next generation and the one after that. And right now, their future looks very, very bleak with what we're doing to our government and our economy. And by the way, not what we're doing, what these politicians are doing. And that's what this battle's over. That's why the Tea Party movement's created. That's why it's a wonderful thing, because they're helping to save the country. You know, I've often said, I really can't get to the drones. In other words, no matter what I argue, no matter what I say, no matter what the evidence is, they're going to reject it. Do you want to know why? Because their ideology is not based on empiricism. It's not based on reason. It's not based on history or experience or science or any of the rest. It's based on superstition. Superstition. Redistribute the wealth. What they really mean is redistribute somebody else's wealth. Because these liberals, they're the ultimate pigs. That's right, I said it. They are the ultimate crooks. Because they want to steal somebody else's money. If they went out and did it on their own, they'd go to jail. So they want their politicians to use the power of the law to do it for them. I need to elaborate on a point. My proposition is that liberalism, or statism as I call it, is inherently immoral. It is inherently immoral. Any philosophy that has at its core the belief that thievery is a virtue is immoral. If you steal from a bank, that is, you rob a bank, but you intend to use that money to feed the homeless, the act of robbing is immoral. You've taken somebody else's money. Perhaps people of modest means, to advance a belief that you have. Now, a liberal may be moral in his or her own life. Of course. They may be honorable and ethical in all they do personally. Of course. But then to support a political philosophy that seeks to do that which is immoral if done by the individual, or done outside the realm of government, that is, stealing, then what is that? How can that be moral? To vote to put people in office who campaign on stealing, to vote to put people in office who campaign on stealing, to oversee such an agenda, which promotes this fundamental power grab to confiscate somebody else's property and to assign it to some other use. Is that not an immoral act? Whatever that use may be. I'm not done. Liberalism is inherently immoral. When you run up deficits, and by the way, I'm not just saying Democrats, liberal Republicans too. When you run up deficits that are so massive that you create a crisis, and that crisis gets worse and worse and can destabilize our civil society one day, and can destroy the opportunities for our children and our grandchildren one day. Is that moral? No, that's immoral. If you keep telling people who pay into Social Security that they're paying into a non-existent trust fund, and if you keep voting time and again to use the money that's supposed to be put aside for Social Security to pay for ever-expanding programs and spending, that is, for other things, then is not the act of lying, not just lying once, but lying repeatedly, lying as a matter of philosophy, is that not immoral? Yes, it's immoral. Liberalism is inherently immoral. Yes. And there's no getting around it. You can hear this debate on Obamacare. Look at the statistics that have been knowingly used to promote a lie. That adding 30 million more people to health care, massively increasing the federal government's role, massively increasing subsidies, will cut the deficit? That's a lie. And it's immoral. It's immoral to keep saying it. And yet that's what liberals are doing.